dancers, Jess here. Welcome back to the Whole Dancer YouTube channel. I am thrilled to be connecting today with Hilary Nicolai, who is a former professional ballet dancer and now a coach for dancers, a teacher. I always use different words, I think coach, instructor. What do you call yourself? A teacher?
A coach, sometimes
Yeah.
mentor. I don't. I
Yeah.
think I think it's a little pretentious for me, but more of a coach. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to just talk through some of what balance means to her, how she imparts that wisdom onto her students now, and what her dance journey has looked like over the years. Thank you for being with me today,
Thank you
Hilary.
for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So
Again.
let's start with balance. What does balance mean to you, and how has that concept perhaps evolved over the years of training and then dancing professionally and now teaching?
Okay, so for me, balance is just the ability to kind of hold two spaces at once, or have more than two actually. You could be in this. And that could be a physical space or a mental space, but being able to kind of envision or see yourself or empathize in different scenarios, kind of holding them all at the same time. Clearly, this concept has evolved for me. Did not feel this way coming up. It was dance or bust. I did not have any balance. So that kind of came with maturity and aging. And I think it also came from switching from the dancer side to the teacher side. And then also having children kind of opened my eyes to that need for balance.
As it does, right? I have a daughter, and so I fully, it's like, as much as people say all these things to you before you have kids that are like, oh, it's going to be so different. You're like, oh, I think I got it, right? And then it happens, you're like, oh my gosh, it's so
But yeah,
different.
like you prepare, you try to prepare yourself, but nothing can really prepare you. It's like hands-on learning, like learning on the job.
Yes, yes. And so, over the course of your dancing, I want to know some of the highlights for you. What were some of the moments or roles or experiences that you consider to be highlights?
First was getting to work with Patricia McBride and Jean-Pierre Bonnefeu. That experience was, life-changing in many ways. Patty was such a warm presence, and just the wisdom and the knowledge that she imparted to me, I still feel so blessed, and I try to impart that to my students. I always say, like, this is what Patty used to say. Clearly it's not the same coming from me. And also, I got the experience of, we had some guest dancers come in, and I believe the time that I was at Indiana University working with John Pierre and Patty, Susan Jaffe came in to do the role of Sugar Plum. And so we kind of got to work together and collaborate. And that was nice working with someone like her. I would say learning the balancing technique from the original teachers at the School of American Ballet, Suki Shore, Susie Polar, Kay Mazzo, Stanley Williams, like working with these really not just big names, but these people who have that knowledge firsthand, and it didn't get watered down. That was
Hmm.
really, really nice. And then I just say, dancing on the Met Opera stage. It's such a beautiful space to work in, and I liked it there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. And I feel like it's always nice when dancers are able to reflect back and have had positive experiences with teachers that they're then trying to, bring forward with them.
Mhm.
It's not always the case, as
No.
we know, with some teachers.
I try to be that positive teacher. So hopefully my dancers, whether they dance or not, whether they just in 40 years they reflect back and they're like, "Oh, I remember I had this teacher and she was not a crotchety old lady with a cane."
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, positive teachers in the dance space are so needed. It's such a good thing. Tell me a little bit about your relationship to food and your body, and if it was good, bad, in between. Again, maybe how that changed over time as well.
I mean, I would say when I was dancing, when I was younger, it was unhealthy. There was a direct correlation between thinness and roles, and precipitating event for me getting really kind of like out of that mindset was when I got pregnant with twins. That gave me permission to view food in a different way that I wasn't allowing myself permission to view food as like a source of fuel and energy. So that was really it for me. And I know a lot of people don't have that same, impetus to get it, but that was it for me because I had to kind of step outside of myself and stop thinking about myself in my little bubble and what I thought I needed to do to succeed, in dance, and it was more like, hey, I have other people who need me to kind of get with the program and be kind to them, be and help them out. So
They're relying on you.
yeah, they still are.
Yeah. Forever, perhaps.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that happens for a lot of dancers where it doesn't actually click until end of the journey or like, when you're transitioning perhaps into the next phase of
Yeah.
life. It's nice, I think, to see. I mean, and the pandemic was part of this too, like a little bit of a ballerina baby boom where they were like, oh, I
Yeah.
have time to maybe do it. And hopefully for some of them, that would shift the relationship while they're still dancing. Did you
Mhm.
go back to dancing professionally after you had twins, or you were already done
No,
at that
no,
point?
I was already done at that point.
And I think in some ways that's easier. Like for me, after having my daughter, I was like, oh gosh, I
Just
can't imagine.
the idea of that stresses me out. So
Yeah,
please, can we stop talking
me
about
too.
that?
When I would think about it and like then like reflect on the dancers who I had seen, kind of share that journey
I
on
don't know.
Instagram, I was like,
I
oh
don't
my
know how they
gosh.
do it. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. I mean,
Yeah,
anything's possible.
yeah, it really is. And how do you sort of impart lessons that you learned over the course of your career and life onto your students to encourage them to have a bit more of a balanced approach?
I would say there's like two main bullet points I would love for anyone's watching this takeaway from it as far as trying to achieve balance if you feel a little off kilter. One being that your body is always sending you signals. I try to encourage my dancers to listen to their bodies because your brain doesn't always, let's say your ankle's a little wonky. We're programmed as dancers, you work through the pain, you dance through it, the show must go on, so to speak.
Hmm.
And, I'm like, no, sit down, tend to your body's needs. When you're ready, I'll be here for you. I never put pressure on them to dance through it. I actually do the opposite. I'm like, go sit down, go home, go ice. But that's also if they tell me that there's a problem. A lot of times they don't say anything because they don't want to skip class. They don't want to feel get behind. I think it's really kind of up to the dancer to self advocate and just listen to those little gut instincts because they're there. You can choose to turn your back on them and power through, or you can choose to think like, what is my body trying to tell me right now? Like, yeah, I'm supposed to take class today, but maybe I really just need to Netflix, like stay in bed and like, or whatever, like go for a walk, like do something different, read a book. The second thing I would say that I try to tell my dancers is not to label yourself as like, I'm a dancer, because I think that kind of tends to not trap or imprison, but puts you in a box, puts them in a box. There's certain expectations that come with labels, right? I'm a dancer, so I do A, B, C, and D. So if they can look at dance as a verb instead of a dancer as a noun, they can see all the other things that they're also doing. So I dance, I read, I sing, I have friends, I sew, or whatever it is they do. I think that kind of then lets them see that there's other things in the world besides dance. Whereas if you just say, I'm a dancer, then it's like, okay, what do I need to do to achieve that? And it can kind of be limiting in a way.
Hmm.
So those are my two takeaways. Listen to your body, listen to your instincts, and then maybe don't necessarily label yourself as just a dancer.
I love both of those. Very aligned with what I'm about at the whole dancer. And I think that, the listening to your body, it's amazing because in so many ways, dancers can become experts on like how they use their bodies and like feeling different things in your muscles or technically, right? But then most dancers shut off other avenues of information that their bodies are giving them. They're like, I can't listen to that right
They
now
hear it,
because
but they ignore
right.
it.
Yeah. It's like, I can't because I have to accomplish this thing today and I have to get through this rehearsal today.
Yeah.
And you're so right to tell them to listen to their bodies. And I just started teaching dance actually, which is like, I
Yay.
never thought I would do that. Yeah. In September. So I teach.
Nice.
Yeah. And, dancers will say to me, like, this thing in my ankle hurts. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm not in your body. So I don't know. Hi, what do you need? You need some French baguette?
Oh, I do too.
So dancers will say to me, I have this thing in my ankle and like it's hurting or it's feeling like this particular kind of sensation. And I'm like, okay, like I'm not in your body. So I can't tell you if this is something that you need to sit down for I said if it persists, obviously you need to see a doctor or someone who specializes in diagnosing this kind of pain. I'm like very careful to be like, I'm not your doctor. I'm
Yeah,
just your dance
I
teacher.
absolutely start off every sentence. I say, I'm not a doctor.
Right.
You should go see someone, but this is what I would
Yes.
do in the meantime.
Right. Yes. Yes. And I think that that's a missing piece in a lot of teaching environments as well. A lot of dance teachers, I think, feel the need to give some kind of response that sounds like a solution or sounds like, yeah, this is what you have to do. And then there's a missing piece where the dancer is not getting, fully evaluated by the people who they need to be. And then also they're not fully tuning into what their body is telling them because they're like, oh, my teacher said if I do this, it should be better or it should feel better or what have you. So, yes, listening to your body is so huge. And identifying yourself outside of dance, this was something that I think, I mean, if I could put a percentage on it, I feel like, 75 or 80% of dancers went through like identity crisis during the pandemic because it was like they couldn't do the same routines in this very specific way that told them who they were. And
Right, or
so a
even
lot of
when
them,
they retire, like, isn't there some
right?
saying, like, "A dancer dies twice"?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I fully died when I retired.
Yes.
I remember I was like, "Okay, Giselle, so" I was like,
Right.
"What do I do now? Like, what do I
Yes.
do?" And then I opened my eyes and I'm like, "I can do anything. There's so much to do outside of
Yes.
dance." It's really about, like, you can be a dancer, but then you're also, like, a human, like, big ball.
Human first.
Human first, dancer
I
second.
love that.
Sure.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And the sooner they start to cultivate outside interests, it's only going to make them better dancers. You'll have a more
Yeah,
full life.
right.
Anything special you include in your morning routine?
Coffee.
Maybe when coffee.
I mean, that's not special. That's mandatory? No, I mean, nothing. I have to, Monday through Friday, it's getting up, getting the kids, making sure they get to school on time, and then coming back and kind of taking a few moments for myself before my day gets going.
I like that.
Yeah.
What do you do in your alone moments? Just
Really,
chill.
it's kind of fielding emails and texts and kind of like doing the work stuff. I try to work out in the morning. I like to work out in the mornings. It's when I feel most energized. I have a little rebounder up here. I got it during the pandemic, and I actually really like it's fun.
Yeah,
It's
I
a little
love that.
trampoline. I feel like a kid.
Yep.
I actually need that quiet and alone time to recharge. I find it energizing. I kind of, like get everyone out and then I can come back and be like, okay, now what do I need to do?
Yeah. Yeah. I relate to that. And I also find for me, checking email and text and things like it doesn't that allowing me to give myself the time to do that to like check on it and just know that I've got things figured out. That actually helps me to feel more calm in the
It's
day. It
like a
doesn't stress
checklist.
me out.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, attend to it early and then get it
Mhm.
out of the way. And then I can enjoy the rest of my day. Because if I see that, if when I go to my phone and see that there's the email notifications, I'm like, nope,
Yep.
trash, 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 delete, delete.
Yeah.
It has to be at like zero inbox.
Yeah.
I'm zero
Yep.
inbox girl, for sure.
I have to be under 50. A lot of them are like saved like things I have to look back at. Some of them are emails to myself from myself that I don't delete because I write myself.
I text
And then
myself all the time.
yeah. But yeah, so I have to stay under 50. If it gets over, like I was at like 67 or something yesterday, I was like, oh my
And then you start to sweat. Stop it. Yeah, that's the
God.
dancer in us.
Yes. Okay, Hillary, my last question is a fun one. What is your go-to coffee shop order?
You know this tall oat milk latte, extra shot, extra hot, baby.
I love it. And we have the same coffee shop order. Where can dancers connect with you? How can they reach out? Do you do virtual coaching as well?
I do. This is actually
Awesome.
this is my attic there's my bar in the back. I do Zooms still. I
Mhm.
mean, obviously it's a little bit more rare, but I have dancers that aren't local who can't make it to me that are, across the world. I have some kids in England and some kids in Maryland, and I still do stuff with them. I have a website, balletwithhillary.com, and then I'm easily found on Instagram, Ballet with Hillary. Pretty consistent.
Yes, that it helps a lot. It's
Yeah,
good.
and
Easy to
so
remember.
locally, I teach at a studio in Bloomfield called AC Dance. It's pretty new. It's a startup studio. It's really lovely, and my boss is amazing. And I teach also at a studio in Totowa, Jersey, mainly.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I love what you do. I think it's super important, and we need more people like you
Oh,
in the
thank
world.
you. I appreciate that so much. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Have some coffee.